The Skybound Odyssey. The Secrets Behind Aetheria's Storms. A fantasy adventure story. In a world of floating islands, Aetheria Quinn embarks on a daring journey to uncover the source of mysterious storms threatening her realm. As she delves deeper into the heart of Aetheria, she faces ancient forces and discovers dark secrets hidden within the Tempest's core. Join Aetheria on an epic adventure filled with magic, danger, and uncharted skies. In the world of Aetheria, floating islands drifted across a boundless sky, tethered by the whim of ancient magic and technology. Among these islands, the Stormwatcher's Haven was renowned for its fearless aviators and their unmatched skill in navigating the turbulent skies. Captain Aetheria Quinn, the Haven's most daring pilot, was known throughout Aetheria for her unrivaled bravery and skill. She was often seen soaring through the clouds in her sleek airship, the Tempest's Edge, a marvel of engineering and enchantment. Aetheria's life revolved around the sky and the thrill of discovery. However, her heart harbored a deeper purpose, a quest to uncover the truth behind the mysterious storms that had begun to plague the islands. These storms were unlike any the people of Aetheria had ever encountered. They came without warning, fierce and unrelenting, tearing through the islands and leaving devastation in their wake. The storms seemed to have a mind of their own, behaving erratically and defying the established weather patterns. The Haven's best meteorologists were baffled, and rumors of dark forces at play spread like wildfire. One crisp morning, Aetheria received an urgent summons from the Haven's Central Command. She strode into the control room, her boots echoing against the metal floor. Commander Roderick Blackwood, a man whose graying hair and stern demeanor betrayed years of experience, awaited her. "Captain Quinn," Roderick began, his voice carrying the weight of the situation. "We've detected a new storm system forming on the northern edge of the Crescent Isles. This one is different, more intense, more focused. We need you to investigate." Aetheria's eyes narrowed. "What makes this storm different from the others?" "We don't know yet," Roderick admitted, his gaze fixed on the flickering holographic map before them. "But there are reports of strange energy readings, unusual magical signatures. It could be related to the disturbances we've been tracking." Aetheria nodded, her mind already racing with possibilities. The idea of a new, unexplored storm sparked her curiosity and her resolve. "I'll head out immediately." She made her way to the Tempest's Edge, where her crew awaited her. The airship's sleek design and powerful engines were a testament to its creator's ingenuity. The crew, a mix of seasoned veterans and eager novices, greeted her with a mix of anticipation and apprehension. As the Tempest's Edge ascended into the sky, Aetheria's heart pounded with excitement. The northern horizon was already darkened by the encroaching storm clouds, swirling ominously. The ship's instruments began to register the intense energy readings Roderick had mentioned, adding a layer of urgency to their mission. "We're approaching the storm's perimeter," Aetheria called out, her voice steady despite the mounting tension. "Prepare for turbulence." The crew sprang into action, securing loose items and bracing themselves for the ride. Aetheria's grip tightened on the ship's controls as they breached the storm's outer edge. The Tempest's Edge was immediately buffeted by powerful winds and lightning crackled dangerously close. "Steady, everyone," Aetheria shouted over the din. "We need to push through." The ship plunged deeper into the storm, navigating through the chaotic maelstrom of wind and lightning. Aetheria's focus was razor-sharp, her experience guiding her through the tempest. As they ventured further, the storm's intensity grew, becoming a swirling vortex of fury and light. Suddenly, the ship was engulfed in a blinding flash of energy. Aetheria's vision blurred as the Tempest's Edge was thrown violently off course. The crew struggled to regain control, their faces pale with fear. "Status report," Aetheria demanded, her voice cutting through the chaos. "We're losing altitude," came the frantic response from her first mate Alaric. "The systems are failing." Aetheria's mind raced as she fought to stabilize the ship. Through the swirling chaos, she glimpsed a massive, dark structure emerging from the heart of the storm. A colossal, ancient tower, its surface pulsating with a sinister, glowing aura. "Hold on," Alara ordered. "We're heading for that tower." With a determined resolve, Alara maneuvered the Tempest's edge toward the mysterious structure. The ship's engines roared as they fought against the storm's fury, inching closer to the tower. The vessel shuddered violently, but Alara's skill and tenacity held firm. As they neared the tower, the storm seemed to intensify, almost as if it were defending the structure. Lightning lashed out with increasing frequency, and the winds howled like a living entity. The Tempest's edge was battered and strained, but Alara pressed on, her eyes locked on their target. Finally, with a last desperate push, they managed to dock near the base of the tower. The Tempest's edge shuddered to a halt, its systems barely functioning. The storm continued to rage around them, but for the moment they were safe. Alara and her crew emerged from the ship, bracing themselves against the storm's relentless assault. The ancient tower loomed above them, its dark, enigmatic presence casting a long shadow over the landscape. The storm's energy seemed to converge around the tower, its source and cause now within their reach. "Prepare for an expedition," Alara commanded. "We need to find out what's driving this storm." With that, she and her crew ventured toward the tower, their path illuminated only by the sporadic flashes of lightning. The storm's fury roared around them, but Alara's resolve was unshaken. She was determined to uncover the truth behind the mysterious storms and the ancient tower that seemed to hold the key. The storm's unrelenting winds battered against the tower as Alara and her crew approached its base. The ancient structure seemed to resist their presence, as though the storm itself were a guardian, determined to keep intruders away. Alara examined the tower's exterior, noting its intricately carved runes and symbols that glowed faintly in the storm's dim light. The runes seemed to pulse with a rhythm, syncing with the storm's fury. She could feel the energy in the air, an unsettling, almost malevolent force that sent shivers down her spine. "Stay alert," Alara instructed her team. "We don't know what we're dealing with." The crew, equipped with specialized storm gear and lanterns, followed Alara as they navigated the slippery, windswept terrain toward the tower's entrance. The massive stone door was covered in rusted chains and protective wards, clearly designed to deter anyone who might seek entry. One of the crew members, a young engineer named Lila, inspected the door closely. "Captain, I think I can get this open. There's a mechanism hidden behind these wards." Lila worked swiftly, using a combination of tools and spells to unlock the door. The chains fell away with a resounding clang, and the door creaked open, revealing a dark, foreboding corridor leading into the heart of the tower. Alara led the way, her lantern casting eerie shadows on the walls. The corridor was lined with more of the glowing runes, their symbols seeming to writhe and shift in the flickering light. The air inside was cool and stale, a stark contrast to the storm's raging heat outside. As they ventured deeper into the tower, the corridor gave way to a vast chamber. The space was illuminated by a pulsating violet light emanating from a large, central altar. The altar was covered in strange artifacts and arcane devices, some of which appeared to be ancient relics. Alara approached the altar with cautious curiosity. The center of the altar held a large, crystalline orb, its surface swirling with a stormy tempest. The orb was the source of the violet light, and it seemed to be the focal point of the tower's energy. "This must be it," Alara murmured. "The source of the storms." She reached out to examine the orb more closely, but before she could make contact, a sudden tremor shook the chamber. The orb's light intensified, and the chamber's walls began to shift and warp, as though the tower itself were reacting to their presence. A deep, resonant voice echoed through the chamber, reverberating off the walls. "Intruders? You dare to disturb the balance?" Alara and her crew whirled around, searching for the source of the voice. Out of the shadows emerged a figure clad in flowing robes, their face hidden behind a hood. The figure's presence exuded a powerful, almost oppressive aura. "We seek only to understand," Aetheria declared, her voice steady despite the figure's imposing presence. "The storms ravaging our world, what is their purpose?" The hooded figure regarded her with a piercing gaze. "The storms are a manifestation of a great imbalance. They are but a symptom of a deeper corruption that festers within the heart of Aetheria." "Corruption?" Aetheria echoed, puzzled. "What do you mean?" "The ancient wards and enchantments that once protected the islands are failing," the figure explained. "The source of the corruption lies beyond this tower, deep within the heart of the storm." Aetheria's mind raced as she tried to piece together the information. "If the source of the corruption is within the storm, then how can we stop it?" The figure's gaze softened slightly. "To restore balance, you must seek out the heart of the tempest. It lies hidden in the eye of the storm, where the energy is most concentrated. Only by confronting the source of the corruption can you hope to quell the storms." With that, the figure began to fade into the shadows, leaving Aetheria and her crew with more questions than answers. The chamber's shifting walls gradually stabilized and the orb's light dimmed, but the storm outside continued to rage with renewed intensity. Aetheria turned to her crew, determination etched on her face. "We need to find the heart of the tempest. It's our only chance to stop the storms and save Aetheria." The crew nodded in agreement, their resolve strengthening in the face of the daunting task ahead. They prepared to leave the tower and return to the tempest's edge, ready to venture into the heart of the storm. As they exited the tower and braved the storm once more, Aetheria's mind was focused on the journey ahead. The heart of the tempest awaited, and she was determined to uncover its secrets and bring balance back to the world of Aetheria. Aetheria and her crew returned to the tempest's edge, the storm's ferocity only intensifying as they prepared for their next move. The airship's crew was weary but resolute, their faces illuminated by the dim glow of the ship's lanterns. "Captain, we've done a full systems check," Alaric reported as he approached Aetheria. "The engines are strained, but we should be able to push through." Aetheria nodded, her gaze fixed on the dark clouds swirling outside. "We need to find the eye of the storm. That's where the heart of the tempest is supposed to be." The crew set to work, navigating the tempest's edge back into the storm's tumultuous heart. The ship bucked and swayed as it was tossed about by fierce winds and violent lightning. The energy readings on the ship's instruments surged wildly, confirming the tower's warning. "Steady, everyone," Aetheria shouted over the roar of the storm. "Keep focused on the instruments. We need to locate the calm within this chaos." The tempest's edge plunged deeper into the storm's vortex. The crew worked tirelessly, bracing themselves against the ship's relentless shaking. The storm's energy felt almost alive, a malevolent force that seemed to react to their presence. "Captain, we're approaching a clearing," Lila called out from the navigation console. "It looks like a calm eye in the storm." Aetheria's heart raced with a mix of hope and apprehension. "Prepare for descent. We need to find the source of the energy." The tempest's edge slowed its descent as it entered the storm's eye. The chaotic winds subsided, revealing a surreal, calm expanse of swirling clouds and an eerie, dim light. The center of the eye was dominated by a colossal, floating crystal, a massive structure radiating a powerful, stormy energy. "There it is," Aetheria said, her voice filled with awe. "That must be the heart of the tempest." The crystal's surface shimmered with an otherworldly glow, and the storm's energy seemed to converge around it. The tempest's edge floated near the crystal, its engine struggling to maintain stability in the calm yet turbulent surroundings. "Prepare for an approach," Aetheria instructed. "We need to investigate the crystal up close." As the crew worked to secure the ship, Aetheria and a team of specialists prepared to disembark. They donned protective gear and made their way to the crystal, using ropes and harnesses to navigate the floating structure. The crystal's surface was covered in intricate runes and symbols, pulsating with the storm's energy. Aetheria's heart pounded as she examined the structure, searching for any signs of the corruption mentioned by the hooded figure. "Captain, look at this," Lila called out, pointing to a series of dark, jagged fissures on the crystal's surface. These cracks seemed to be emitting dark energy. Aetheria inspected the fissures closely. The dark energy radiating from them felt almost palpable, a corrupted force that contrasted sharply with the crystal's natural glow. This must be the source of the corruption. As Aetheria reached out to touch the crystal, a surge of energy erupted from the fissures. The storm's intensity surged once more, and the crystal's glow intensified, casting eerie shadows across the floating structure. The ground beneath them began to tremble, and the crystal's surface cracked further. The crew struggled to maintain their footing as the crystal seemed to react violently to their presence. "We need to stabilize it," Aetheria shouted. "If we don't contain this, the storm will only grow stronger." Lila and the other specialists worked quickly, using containment devices to channel and stabilize the energy. Aetheria focused on the fissures, trying to understand the nature of the corruption. Suddenly, the dark energy coalesced into a swirling vortex, and a figure emerged from the heart of the storm, a being of shadow and light, its form shifting and flickering. "You dare to challenge the Tempest's wrath?" the figure's voice echoed, carrying an air of ancient authority. "You are not the first to seek the heart's power." Aetheria stood her ground, her gaze steady. "We seek to restore balance. The storms are destroying our world. We need to understand what's causing this." The figure regarded her with a penetrating gaze. "Balance has been disrupted by those who seek to control the storm's power. The heart was never meant to be harnessed by mortal hands." "Then how can we stop it?" Aetheria asked, desperation seeping into her voice. The figure's form shifted and wavered, as though struggling against the storm's energy. "To restore balance, you must confront the one who corrupted the heart. Only then can the storm's fury be quelled." With that, the figure dissipated into the swirling energy, leaving Aetheria and her crew with more questions than answers. The dark energy around the crystal continued to surge, threatening to engulf them. "We need to get back to the ship," Aetheria shouted. "The storm is becoming unstable." The crew scrambled back to the Tempest's edge, barely managing to avoid being engulfed by the energy. As they took off from the floating crystal, the storm's intensity gradually began to subside, but the damage was already done. Aetheria and her crew regrouped, their faces grim as they assessed the situation. The heart of the Tempest was still a mystery, and the figure's cryptic warning left them with a daunting task. "We need to find out who corrupted the heart and why," Aetheria said, determination in her voice. "Our journey is far from over." The Tempest's edge flew away from the storm's eye, the crew exhausted but resolute. Aetheria stood at the ship's helm, her mind racing with the figure's words and the implications of their encounter. "Captain," Alaric called out, approaching her with a concerned expression. "What's our next move?" Aetheria took a deep breath, her gaze fixed on the storm clouds receding behind them. "We need to investigate who might have corrupted the heart." The tower mentioned a deeper corruption, something beyond the heart itself. Lila joined them, holding a data tablet that displayed readings from the crystal. "I've been analyzing the data we collected. The energy signatures suggest a link to ancient magical practices, something that predates the current wards and enchantments." Aetheria's interest was piqued. Ancient magical practices? Could this be related to old myths or legends? Lila nodded. "It's possible. There are old records about a powerful artifact, the Tempest's core, said to have been used in ancient times to control the storms. If someone has managed to harness its power, it could explain the recent disturbances. We need to learn more about this Tempest's core," Aetheria said, her mind already turning to their next destination. "Where can we find more information?" Alaric spoke up. "There's a library on the island of Eldoria, known for its extensive archives on ancient artifacts and magical history. It might hold the answers we need." Aetheria made her decision quickly. "Set a course for Eldoria. We need to uncover the truth about the Tempest's core and the corruption affecting the heart." As the Tempest's edge made its way toward Eldoria, The crew took advantage of the respite to rest and recover. The ship sailed smoothly through the calmer skies, and the island of Eldoria loomed on the horizon, a lush, verdant land filled with ancient knowledge. Upon arrival, Aetheria and her crew disembarked and made their way to the Grand Library of Eldoria. The library's towering spires and vast halls were a testament to its wealth of knowledge. The entrance was guarded by a pair of stone statues, their eyes seeming to follow the visitors with an inscrutable gaze. Inside, the library was a labyrinth of bookshelves, scrolls, and ancient manuscripts. The air was filled with the scent of old parchment and the faint hum of magical wards. Aetheria approached the head librarian, an elderly scholar named Professor Althea. "We're looking for information about an ancient artifact called the Tempest's Core. Do you have any records on it?" Professor Althea adjusted her spectacles and nodded. "The Tempest's Core is a legendary artifact indeed. It is said to be a source of immense power, capable of controlling the weather and even influencing the very fabric of reality." Aetheria's curiosity was piqued. "What can you tell us about its history and current whereabouts?" Professor Althea led them to a secluded section of the library, where ancient tomes and scrolls were meticulously organized. The Tempest's Core was created by an ancient civilization known as the Celestials. They used it to maintain balance in the world's weather patterns. However, it was lost centuries ago, and its exact location remains a mystery. She handed Aetheria a dusty tome bound in leather. "This book contains the most detailed account of the Tempest's Core. It might provide some clues about its current state and potential connections to recent events." Aetheria thanked Professor Althea and began poring over the tome. The book detailed the Tempest's Core's creation, its role in maintaining balance, and the legends surrounding its disappearance. According to the text, the artifact was hidden away after a catastrophic event that shattered the celestial civilization. As Aetheria read, she discovered a section describing an ancient ritual performed to seal the artifact. The ritual involved powerful wards and enchantments designed to protect the core from misuse. However, the text also mentioned a prophecy about the core's return and the potential for its power to be corrupted. "This prophecy might be what we're dealing with," Aetheria said, sharing her findings with her crew. "If the Tempest's Core has been reactivated or corrupted, it could explain the storms and the heart's corruption." Lila looked thoughtful. "The prophecy speaks of a time when the balance would be restored by those who seek the truth. It sounds like our mission aligns with this prophecy." Aetheria nodded, her resolve strengthening. "We need to find out who might have sought the Tempest's Core and how they could have corrupted it. The answers might lie in the remnants of the celestial civilization or in ancient artifacts related to the core." With newfound determination, Aetheria and her crew prepared to continue their journey. The search for the Tempest's Core had taken on a new urgency, and the clues they had uncovered pointed to a deeper, more complex mystery. The Tempest's Edge set sail once more, its course now set toward the ruins of the Celestials' ancient city, where the final pieces of the puzzle might be hidden. Aetheria knew that the journey ahead would be perilous, but she was ready to face whatever challenges lay in wait. The fate of Aetheria depended on their success, and she was determined to uncover the truth and restore balance to the world. The Tempest's Edge flew through the sky towards the ancient ruins of the celestial city, known as Lumina. The city was said to be a once great metropolis that had fallen into ruin centuries ago, buried beneath layers of myth and legend. The crew was quiet, each person lost in their thoughts as they anticipated the challenges ahead. As the airship approached the ruins, the landscape below revealed remnants of grand structures overgrown with vegetation. Tall spires, broken arches, and shattered columns dotted the terrain, hinting at the city's former splendor. The once majestic buildings were now little more than skeletons, lost to the passage of time and nature's reclaiming force. "Prepare for descent," Aetheria instructed as the Tempest's Edge began to lower. The crew readied the ship for landing, and the airship gently touched down amidst the overgrown ruins. Aetheria and her team disembarked, their boots crunching on the debris-strewn ground. The ruins were eerily silent, save for the occasional rustle of leaves and the distant sound of wind through broken windows. The sky above was clear, a stark contrast to the storm-ridden areas they had just left behind. "We should start our search near the central plaza," Lila suggested, referencing a map she had found in the library. "That's where most of the important structures are located." The group made their way towards the central plaza, navigating through the tangled underbrush and collapsed structures. As they walked, Aetheria marveled at the remnants of the Celestials' advanced architecture and craftsmanship. It was evident that the Celestials had been a highly advanced civilization with a deep understanding of magic and technology. When they reached the plaza, they were met with the sight of a grand, partially intact building at its center. The structure appeared to be a temple or a library, with walls adorned with faded murals and intricate carvings. The building seemed to be the most preserved of the ruins, its towering entrance still standing strong. "This must be it," Aetheria said, her eyes scanning the building's facade. "The temple or library of the Celestials." The group entered the building cautiously, their lanterns casting flickering shadows on the walls. Inside, the vast hall was lined with ancient scrolls and artifacts, many of which were covered in dust and cobwebs. The air was thick with the scent of aged paper and the lingering aura of ancient magic. Aetheria's gaze was drawn to a series of murals on the walls, depicting scenes of celestial beings performing rituals and creating powerful artifacts. One mural in particular caught her attention, a depiction of a group of celestials sealing a large, glowing crystal, similar in appearance to the Tempest's core. "This mural shows the ritual to seal the Tempest's core," Aetheria said, pointing to the illustration. "It looks like they were performing a complex magical ceremony." As she examined the mural, a sudden noise behind her made her turn. The crew's lanterns revealed a hidden alcove, partially obscured by debris. Aetheria approached the alcove and discovered a weathered chest embedded in the wall. "Help me open this," she said to Lila and Alaric. Together, they pried open the chest, revealing a collection of ancient scrolls and a small ornate box. The box was adorned with celestial symbols and seemed to hum with a faint magical energy. "This might be what we're looking for," Lila said as she examined the box. "Let's see what's inside." Aetheria carefully opened the box, revealing a set of delicate, intricately crafted keys and a series of scrolls written in an ancient script. One of the scrolls had a familiar symbol, the same one that had been on the crystal. "This scroll describes the ritual used to seal the Tempest's core," Aetheria said, her voice filled with excitement. "It might contain information on how to break the seal or reverse the corruption." The group studied the scrolls, which provided detailed instructions on the ritual and the safeguards placed around the Tempest's core. The keys, it seemed, were crucial to unlocking the final layer of the seal. "This information is invaluable," Aetheria said, folding the scrolls carefully. "We need to take these back to the Tempest's Edge and decipher them further." As they prepared to leave, Aetheria couldn't shake the feeling that they were not alone. The ruins were silent, but there was an underlying sense of being watched. "Stay alert," Aetheria warned her crew. "We don't know what else might be lurking here." The group returned to the Tempest's Edge, the scrolls and keys safely secured. As the airship ascended and left the ruins behind, Aetheria reviewed the scrolls, her mind racing with the implications of their findings. Back aboard the Tempest's Edge, Aetheria and her crew gathered in the ship's study room, where they spread out the scrolls and keys they had recovered. The room was dimly lit, the flickering lanterns casting shadows on the walls as they worked. "This scroll describes the structure of the seal and the keys required to unlock it," Lila said, translating the ancient script. "It looks like there are multiple layers of protection, each requiring a specific key and ritual." Aetheria studied the scroll carefully. "It mentions that the Tempest's core was sealed in a way that only those with the knowledge of the ritual and the keys could access it. The corruption we're seeing could be the result of someone attempting to bypass or break the seal." Alaric frowned. "If someone has managed to corrupt the core, they must have considerable knowledge of ancient magic and the Celestials' rituals. This could be more than just a simple case of misuse." Aetheria nodded. Exactly. This corruption is part of a larger agenda. We need to figure out who would have the motive and capability to do this. The crew pored over the scrolls, searching for additional clues. As they worked, Aetheria's thoughts turned to the hooded figure from the tower. The figure had mentioned an imbalance and a deeper corruption, hinting at a possible conspiracy. Could there be a connection between this corruption and the storm's patterns? Aetheria wondered aloud. The storm seemed too well coordinated to be random. Lila looked thoughtful. If the Tempest's core is being manipulated, it could be causing the storms to behave in a more controlled and deliberate manner. Someone could be using the storms to achieve a specific goal. Aetheria's mind raced as she considered the possibilities. We need to investigate further. If there's someone behind this, they might have left other clues or artifacts connected to the core. Just then, the ship's communication system crackled to life. Captain Quinn, this is Commander Roderick Blackwood. We've received troubling reports from the islands. The storms have intensified, and there are signs of unusual magical disturbances. Aetheria's heart sank. Commander Blackwood, we're on our way back. We've uncovered information about the Tempest's core and its corruption. It's worse than we thought. Roderick's voice was grim. Understood. We'll be waiting for you. Be careful, something dark is at work here. Aetheria ended the transmission and turned to her crew. We need to return to the Central Command and report our findings. The situation is deteriorating and we need to act quickly. The Tempest's Edge set a course back to the Stormwatcher's haven, the crew working diligently to prepare for the journey. As they flew, Aetheria reviewed the scrolls once more, determined to piece together the puzzle and confront the corruption threatening Aetheria. The crew was anxious, their faces reflecting the gravity of the situation. Aetheria's thoughts were filled with questions and concerns, but one thing was clear. The journey was far from over, and the true nature of the corruption was yet to be fully revealed. As the airship approached the haven, Aetheria steeled herself for the next phase of their mission. The fate of Aetheria hung in the balance, and she was determined to see it through to the end, no matter the cost. The Tempest's Edge docked at the Stormwatcher's haven, the central command for monitoring and responding to the storms ravaging Aetheria. The airship's crew disembarked and made their way to the command center, where Commander Roderick Blackwood awaited them. Captain Quinn, Roderick greeted, his face etched with concern. I'm glad you've returned. The situation here has worsened since your last report. Aetheria nodded, her expression serious. We've uncovered crucial information about the Tempest's core and the corruption affecting it. We need to discuss our findings and plan our next move. The group gathered in the command center's briefing room, where Aetheria presented the scrolls and keys they had recovered from the Celestial's ruins. Roderick listened intently as Aetheria explained the nature of the corruption and the potential connection to the storms. This corruption is more than just a natural imbalance, Aetheria concluded. It's part of a deliberate agenda. We need to identify who is behind this and stop them before it's too late. Roderick nodded. We've been monitoring the storms and we've noticed a pattern. They're becoming more targeted and precise. It's as if someone is using them to achieve specific objectives. Lila added, the ancient scrolls we found suggest that the Tempest's core was meant to be a source of balance, not destruction. Someone must have tampered with it to cause the storms. Roderick's expression darkened. There's a faction within the Mages' Council that has been pushing for more control over the weather. They believe that by harnessing the power of the storms, they can gain political leverage and consolidate their influence. Aetheria's eyes widened. You think they might be involved? It's a possibility, Roderick confirmed. We've had reports of unusual activities and secret meetings among certain council members. If they've managed to get their hands on the Tempest's core or other powerful artifacts, it could explain the recent disturbances. Aetheria's mind raced as she considered the implications. We need to investigate these council members and their activities. If they're responsible, we need to expose them and stop their plans. Roderick agreed. I'll arrange for you to meet with some of our trusted agents who can provide additional information. In the meantime, we need to prepare for the possibility of more severe storms. The situation is rapidly escalating. As the team prepared to depart for their investigation, the storm outside intensified, casting a foreboding shadow over the haven. The winds howled and the rain pounded against the windows, a stark reminder of the urgent task at hand. Aetheria and her crew left the command center, making their way to their quarters to rest and plan. They needed to be ready for whatever lay ahead. The Mages' Council was a powerful entity, and confronting them would be a formidable challenge. As Aetheria reviewed their next steps, she couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. The corruption of the Tempest's core was a threat that needed to be addressed urgently, and the storms were growing more dangerous by the day. The following day, Aetheria and her crew met with Roderick's trusted agents, who provided them with crucial information about the Mages' Council and their recent activities. The agents, a group of skilled spies and informants, had gathered intelligence on the council members suspected of involvement in the corruption. One of the agents, a woman named Mira, briefed Aetheria and her team. We've identified several key figures within the Mages' Council who have been advocating for the use of the Tempest's core. They believe that controlling the storms will give them unparalleled power. Aetheria listened attentively. Do we have any specific leads on where they might be conducting their operations? Mira nodded. There are rumors of a secret meeting being held at a secluded estate outside the city. We believe it's a central location for their activities. It's heavily guarded, but it might be our best chance to gather evidence and confront them. Aetheria considered the information. We need to approach this carefully. If the council members are involved, they'll be well prepared and likely expecting trouble. Mira handed Aetheria a map detailing the estate's layout and security measures. This should help you plan your approach. The estate is surrounded by magical wards and physical defenses, so you'll need to be cautious. Aetheria's team studied the map and discussed their strategy. They decided to infiltrate the estate under cover of darkness, using stealth and magic to bypass the wards and security. As night fell, Aetheria and her crew set out towards the secluded estate. The air was thick with tension as they approached the estate's outer perimeter, a high wall adorned with glowing runes and guarded by sentinels. Lila used her magical skills to create a diversion, drawing the guards away from their posts. With the guards distracted, Aetheria and her team slipped through a gap in the wall and made their way towards the main building. Inside the estate, the atmosphere was tense and charged with arcane energy. The group moved stealthily through the corridors, guided by the map and the information they had gathered. They could hear the murmur of voices and the occasional flash of magical light from the meeting room ahead. Aetheria signaled for her team to halt as they approached the meeting room's door. She listened intently, trying to make out the conversation. The storms are reaching their peak. We need to act quickly if we're going to consolidate our power, one voice said, tinged with authority. We've managed to maintain control so far, but the Tempest's core is becoming increasingly unstable, another voice responded. If we're not careful, it could spiral out of control. Aetheria exchanged glances with her crew, realizing the gravity of the situation. The council members were discussing their plans to manipulate the Tempest's core and their strategies for maintaining control over the storms. With a deep breath, Aetheria prepared to confront them. She signaled her team to move in, and they carefully opened the door to the meeting room. Inside, the room was filled with council members gathered around a large table covered in magical artifacts and scrolls. The members, dressed in elaborate robes, looked up in shock as Aetheria and her crew entered. Stop right there. Aetheria commanded, her voice firm and authoritative. We know about your plans and the corruption of the Tempest's core. The council members looked at each other, their expressions a mix of surprise and defiance. One of them, a tall man with a commanding presence, stepped forward. You have no idea what you're meddling with. The storms are a necessary tool for bringing about a new order. Aetheria stood her ground. Your actions are endangering the entire world. The Tempest's core was never meant to be used for such purposes. You need to stop this madness and restore balance. The tension in the room was palpable as the council members began to argue amongst themselves. Aetheria and her crew prepared for a confrontation, knowing that the outcome of this encounter could determine the fate of Aetheria. The confrontation in the meeting room was tense. The council members, their faces etched with both anger and fear, began to react to Aetheria's accusation. "You have no right to interfere," the tall man snapped, his voice carrying an edge of desperation. "The storms are our means to an end. You can't stop us." Aetheria took a step forward, her eyes locked on the council leader. The Tempest's core was meant to maintain balance, not to be twisted for personal gain. Your actions are risking the lives of everyone in Aetheria. The council members began to rise from their seats, their robes rustling as they prepared for a confrontation. The room's atmosphere crackled with magical energy as the council members summoned their spells, readying themselves for battle. Lila, standing beside Aetheria, whispered, "We need to act quickly. If they're this determined, they might be planning something catastrophic." Aetheria nodded in agreement. "We need to neutralize their power source and disrupt their control over the storms." The battle erupted as magical energy clashed with the defenses of the estate. Aetheria and her crew fought valiantly against the council members' spells, using their skills and strategies to counteract the attacks. Mira, one of Roderick's agents, used her knowledge of the estate's defenses to help the team navigate through the magical wards and barriers. Amidst the chaos, Aetheria noticed a large, glowing artifact at the center of the room, a crystal that seemed to pulse with dark energy. It was clear that this artifact was connected to the corruption of the Tempest's core. "This must be the source of their control," Aetheria shouted to her crew. "We need to destroy it." As Aetheria made her way towards the crystal, the council leader blocked her path, casting a powerful spell to deter her. "You'll never get to the artifact. It's protected by ancient magic." Aetheria dodged the spell and retaliated with a powerful strike of her own. Her crew fought off the council members, creating an opening for her to reach the artifact. With a determined effort, Aetheria used her own magic to counteract the protective enchantments surrounding the crystal. Just as Aetheria reached the artifact, the storm outside intensified, its fury seemingly directed at the estate. The walls trembled and the airship's instruments began to go haywire. The council members looked increasingly agitated, their control over the storm slipping. "The storms are spiraling out of control," one of the council members shouted. "We need to stabilize the artifact immediately." Aetheria seized the opportunity, channeling her magic into the artifact and attempting to break its hold over the storms. The crystal's energy resisted her efforts, but she pressed on, determined to free the Tempest's core from its corruption. With a final surge of power, Aetheria shattered the crystal. The room was filled with a blinding light as the dark energy dissipated. The storms outside began to wane, their intensity lessening as the artifact's influence was broken. The council members, now disoriented and powerless, were quickly subdued by Aetheria and her crew. The battle had been won, but the cost of their victory was evident. The estate was in ruins and the storm's damage was extensive. Aetheria took a deep breath, her heart pounding as she surveyed the aftermath. "We've done what we could, but the damage to Aetheria is severe. We need to help with the recovery and ensure that the Tempest's core is properly safeguarded." With the council members in custody and the artifact destroyed, Aetheria and her crew returned to the Stormwatcher's haven. The Central Command was busy with recovery efforts, as teams worked to assess and repair the damage caused by the intensified storms. Aetheria met with Commander Roderick Blackwood to report on their findings and the outcome of their mission. The commander listened attentively as Aetheria explained the confrontation with the Council and the steps they had taken to neutralize the threat. "The situation is under control, but the damage is extensive," Roderick said, his expression serious. "We need to prioritize the recovery efforts and ensure that the Tempest's core is protected from any future attempts at corruption." Aetheria nodded. We've recovered crucial information about the core and its corruption. The Council's plans were more extensive than we anticipated, and they were on the verge of causing catastrophic damage. Roderick's eyes were filled with gratitude. Your efforts have saved countless lives. We'll need to strengthen our defenses and continue monitoring the storms to prevent any further disruptions. As the recovery efforts continued, Aetheria and her crew assisted with the restoration of the affected areas. The people of Aetheria were resilient, coming together to rebuild and repair the damage caused by the storms. The sense of unity and determination was palpable as communities worked to restore their homes and lives. Aetheria took a moment to reflect on their journey. The trials they had faced had been daunting, but their determination and teamwork had seen them through. The Tempest's core was now safeguarded, and the balance in Aetheria had been restored. Lila approached Aetheria with a smile. "We did it, Captain. The storms are calming and the core is secure. We've made a real difference." Aetheria returned the smile, feeling a sense of fulfillment. "Yes, we have. But our work isn't over. We need to remain vigilant and ensure that the balance we've restored is maintained." As the sun rose over the horizon, casting a warm light over the recovering land, Aetheria and her crew stood together, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Their journey had been one of discovery, courage, and perseverance, and they were prepared for the future with renewed hope. The skies of Aetheria once again began to clear, signaling a new beginning. The Tempest's Edge would continue its journey, exploring the mysteries of their world and standing guard against any threats that might arise. And so, with the dawn of a new day, Aetheria and her crew embarked on their next adventure, united in their quest to protect the balance and harmony of their world. The aftermath of the storm had left Aetheria in a state of recovery. As the people worked to rebuild their homes and restore their lives, Aetheria and her crew took time to reflect on their journey and the events that had transpired. Aetheria stood on the deck of the Tempest's Edge, gazing out over the horizon. The sky was clear and the air was calm, a stark contrast to the turbulence of the past weeks. The sight was a reminder of the peace they had fought to restore. Lila joined her, carrying a worn leather journal. "I've been reviewing the ancient scrolls we recovered. There are passages that suggest the Tempest's core was once a beacon of harmony, used to protect Aetheria from external threats." Aetheria turned to Lila, intrigued. "What do you mean?" "The core was not only a source of balance but also a safeguard against ancient enemies," Lila explained. "The corruption we faced was not just a natural imbalance but a deliberate attempt to undermine the core's purpose." Aetheria frowned, contemplating the implications. If the core was intended to protect Aetheria from external threats, then the corruption was a serious breach. We need to ensure that such vulnerabilities are addressed. Mira, who had been assisting with the recovery efforts, approached them with additional information. "We've uncovered evidence that suggests a broader network of individuals involved in the corruption. This wasn't just the work of a few rogue council members." Aetheria's eyes narrowed. "You're saying there might be more threats out there?" Mira nodded. "Yes. There are indications that other factions may have been involved or influenced by the council members. It's important that we investigate further to prevent future disruptions." The realization that their fight was not yet over weighed heavily on Aetheria. She knew that vigilance was crucial to safeguarding Aetheria. The team made plans to continue their investigation, determined to uncover and address any remaining threats. As they worked, the people of Aetheria showed their gratitude. The support and resilience of the community were inspiring, and Aetheria felt a renewed sense of purpose. The challenges they had faced had strengthened their resolve and deepened their commitment to protecting their world. The Tempest's Edge remained docked at Stormwatcher's Haven, serving as a symbol of hope and resilience. Aetheria and her crew continued to assist with the recovery efforts, building stronger defenses and reinforcing the balance that had been restored. Months had passed since the confrontation with the Mages' Council, and Aetheria was well on its way to recovery. The skies were clear and the storms had subsided, thanks to the efforts of Aetheria and her crew. One evening, Aetheria and her team gathered on the deck of the Tempest's Edge, watching the sunset over the floating islands. The world below was vibrant and full of life, a testament to the resilience of its people. "We've made a difference," Lila said, her voice filled with satisfaction. "The balance has been restored, and Aetheria is healing." Aetheria nodded, feeling a sense of accomplishment. "It's been a long journey, but we've achieved something meaningful. The Tempest's core is secure, and the storms are no longer a threat." Mira, who had become a trusted ally, spoke up. "There's still much work to be done, but we're on the right path. The knowledge we've gained and the relationships we've built will help us in future endeavors." Aetheria looked out at the horizon, contemplating the future. "Our journey has only just begun. There are still mysteries to explore and challenges to face. But with the strength of our crew and the support of Aetheria, we're ready for whatever comes next." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the world, Aetheria felt a sense of hope and anticipation. The Tempest's Edge would continue its adventures, exploring the wonders of Aetheria and standing guard against any threats that might arise. The story of their odyssey was a testament to their bravery, resilience, and the enduring spirit of exploration. With a renewed sense of purpose and a commitment to safeguarding their world, Aetheria and her crew embraced the new horizon before them. And so, as the night fell and the stars began to twinkle in the sky, Aetheria and her crew prepared for their next adventure, ready to face the unknown with courage and determination. If you enjoyed this adventure, be sure to like the video, share it with others, and subscribe for more exciting tales. Check out our playlist of fantasy adventures for more epic stories. See you in the next adventure.